Do you remember those midnight drives? I asked, watching the reflection of city lights on Emma's face. She didn't look up from her phone. Those nights we used to drive with no destination, just talking. Her thumbs kept moving, tapping across the screen. Yeah, I remember. Things were simpler then. I smiled, though it didn't reach my eyes. Simpler because we didn't have notifications every 10 seconds. She glanced at me briefly, then back to her phone. It's just work, Adrian. You know how it is. I nodded, pretending to believe her. Right? Work never sleeps. Her laughter came suddenly, soft and careless, not at me, but at the text she was reading. What's funny? I asked. Nothing. You sure? Just a meme. Ryan sent it. That name sat between us like a stone. Ryan. My best friend. I tried to sound casual. You two seem to talk a lot lately. She looked up this time, eyes cool. He's helping me with my campaign. Don't be weird about it. I'm not being weird. I forced a small laugh. Just making conversation, and stop making it sound like an accusation. I wanted to tell her I missed her, not her body. Not her voice, but the way she used to look at me like I was a story she couldn't stop reading. Instead, I said nothing. Dinner arrived. She took a picture of her plate before picking up her fork. I watched her angle the shot, fix the lighting, smile for no one. Remember when we used to eat before our food got cold? I asked. She laughed without looking at me. You sound old. Maybe I just missed the heat, I muttered. What? Nothing. The silence stretched thin. I cut into my steak, pretending not to notice how her phone lit up again. So, I tried. How's the campaign? Good, she said. Ryan thinks we can— There it is again, I interrupted, smiling faintly. Ryan thinks, she sighed. You're jealous. I'm not jealous. I stared at my glass. I just remember when it used to be, we think. Her fork clinked against the plate. You're overanalyzing everything. I'm tired, Adrian. Yeah, I said softly. I can feel that. For a while, neither of us spoke. The sound of cutlery and distant chatter filled the space we couldn't. When the waiter came with the bill, I reached for it. She didn't protest. She just kept scrolling. Outside, the air was cold. She hugged herself, eyes still on her phone. Do you ever just stop? I asked. Stop what? Looking at that thing. Talking to everyone except me. Her voice was flat. This is my job. I can't just turn it off. Not asking you to quit, I said. Just to look up. Once in a while, she sighed, finally slipping the phone into her purse. They're happy? I met her eyes, and for a second, I saw her the way she used to look at me. Warm, present, real. Then the phone buzzed again. The spell broke. She hesitated, then said, It's important. I asked. She nodded. Work. That one word hit harder than it should have. It wasn't just an excuse. It was a wall small, invisible, and growing taller every day. On the drive home, I kept my eyes on the road. She laughed quietly at something on her screen. Good talk, I said under my breath. What? Nothing. Just glad we're still us. She smiled absently. Yeah, always. But even as she said it, I realized she wasn't looking at me. Not really. And for the first time, I wondered if love dies in arguments or if it just fades, one unanswered glance at a time. Asterisk, hey, did you get my message? I asked over the phone, staring at the unread text I'd sent her 5 hours ago. Emma's voice was light, distracted. Yeah, I saw it. I've just been busy. It's busy, I repeated, my jaw tightening. You said that yesterday, she sighed. Adrian, I can't reply to every text right away. I have meetings, shoots, planning with Ryan. I said before I could stop myself. There was silence. Then a short, sharp laugh. Wow. So that's what this is? I just asked, I said quietly. You post more with him than you talk to me. He's helping me, Adrian. Don't twist it into something it's not. And why does it look like something? Her tone hardened. If you don't trust me, that's your problem. And just like that, she hung up. I stared at the phone. The word ended glowing on the screen like a verdict. Later that day, Ryan texted me, "Bro, you free tonight?" I met him at the bar. He was already there, laughing with the bartender. His arm draped over the back of the chair like he owned the world. "Hey man," he said, grinning. "Long time no drink?" "Yeah," I said, sliding onto the stool beside him. "Been busy." "Tell me about it," he said, taking a sip. "Emma's got me running around for that campaign." I looked at him. "You two seem close," he chuckled. "Come on, don't start that. I'm not starting anything. I'm just asking." Ryan leaned back, smirking. "You're overthinking, man. You know how she is. Friendly, open, all that influencer energy, right?" I forced a smile. "Friendly." He clinked his glass against mine. "Relax, Adrian. You've got nothing to worry about." I laughed. A small, hollow sound. Sure, he changed the topic fast, talking about music, business, everything but her. I played along, pretending to listen while every word he said twisted in my chest. When I got home, I opened my phone. Emma had posted another photo, her hand on a coffee cup, his reflection faintly visible in the glass window behind her. The caption read, "Good vibes only." I stared at it for a long time. The comments were full of hearts and fire emojis. People loved them together, even if they didn't know what together meant. I typed, "Looks great. Wish I'd been there." Then deleted it. I tried calling her again. No answer, so I scrolled. Post after post, her smile, his laughter, their shared jokes. Every picture felt like a confession I wasn't meant to read. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Do you still love me?" I stared at the words, blinking against the glow of the screen. It was such a simple question. Just 6 words. But it felt heavier than all the silence between us. The typing cursor blinked. Waiting. Then the phone buzzed. A notification. New post, Emma again. This time, it was a group shot. Ryan beside her. Her caption read, "Grateful for people who make life easier." I locked my phone. My heart was beating too fast. I opened it again. Read the same caption. Tried to find a way it didn't hurt. "Just work," I whispered to myself. Just work. The clock read to 47 a.m. I scrolled up, staring at our last message thread. The blue bubbles all mine. Her last reply, "Good night." 3 days ago, I typed it again. "Do you still love me?" Then added, "Or is this just ... space?" I watched the screen for a full minute, then backspaced until it was blank. No message. Just the echo of what used to be conversation. When I finally set the phone down, the room felt too quiet. The kind of silence that hums with everything you don't want to admit. I turned off the light. My phone buzzed again. For a second I hoped it was her. It wasn't. "Ryan, you okay, man?" I didn't reply. I just stared at the screen until it went dark, like the part of me that still believed her. It started with a notification. Mara sent me a link. "You should see this." I clicked before thinking, and there it was. Emma and Ryan, at a private dinner. Her hand resting on his. His smile too familiar, too easy. The caption under the post, "Power couple goals." I stared at it until my vision blurred. The world around me faded, just that image. Burning into my mind like a scar I couldn't scrub away. My hands were shaking when I called her. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hey," she said softly, like nothing was wrong. "Don't hey me," I said, my voice breaking. "Tell me it's not what it looks like." There was a pause, too long, too quiet. "Adrian," she finally whispered. "It's complicated. Complicated." I repeated. "That's what people say when they're lying." She exhaled shakily. "You don't understand? Then help me understand," I cut in. "Because right now, all I see is my girlfriend holding hands with my best friend." Her breath caught. "It wasn't planned." "What wasn't planned?" "This," she said, her voice trembling. "The way he listens. The way he gets me." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You mean the way I used to?" "Adrian, no," I said, my throat tight. Don't say my name like that. Not when you're the one who killed it.
House.
Just her breathing on the other end. Then click. The line went dead. For a second, I just stood there, phone pressed to my ear. As if holding it long enough would make her come back, it didn't. The next sound was the crash, my phone hitting the wall, shattering into pieces. The sound echoed through the apartment, but it still wasn't as loud as the silence she left behind. I sank to the floor. My chest hurt like someone had reached inside and pulled something vital out of me. I didn't cry. I just stared at the broken pieces of glass and metal scattered across the floor. Fragments of something I used to trust. A knock came at the door. It was Mara. Adrian. Open up. I didn't move. I saw the picture, she said softly through the door. I'm so sorry. She said it was complicated, I muttered. Of course she did. She said he understands her. Yeah, Mara said, her tone sharp. He understands how to ruin things. I finally opened the door. She stepped in, eyes darting to the broken phone. You really did it this time. She hung up on me, Mara sighed. You didn't deserve that, I laughed weakly. Apparently I did. Maybe I stopped being enough. She frowned. Don't do that. Don't turn her betrayal into your fault. But I couldn't help it. The image of them kept flashing in my head, her leaning in, his hand over hers. Their smiles like something out of a secret language I was never taught. I trusted him, I whispered. He was like a brother. Then he just proved he wasn't. I sat down on the couch, rubbing my temples. She used to tell me I was her piece. Mara hesitated. And what did you tell her? That she was my everything. Maybe that's why she left, she said quietly. I looked up, stung. What's that supposed to mean? When someone becomes your everything, Mara said, sitting beside me, they start to forget they're allowed to be anything else. I didn't respond. I just stared at my hands, empty, useless. Shaking, the silence stretched between us. Finally, she said, Do you want to see something? She pulled out her phone and showed me another photo. The same dinner, different angle. Emma's smile looked strained. Ryan's grip on her hand looked too firm. Mara lowered her phone. Maybe it wasn't love. Maybe it was control. I wanted to believe her. But all I could think about was how Emma didn't pull away. I stood up, pacing. I can't unsee it, Mara. It's like it's burned into my brain. Then stop looking at it, she said. I shook my head. It's not the picture that hurts. It's the fact that she didn't even try to hide it. Mara exhaled. So what now? I glanced at the shattered phone on the floor. Now? I said quietly. Now I stopped calling. Good, she said. Let her wonder what silence feels like. That was the thing. Silence didn't feel like power. It felt like drowning in everything left unsaid. That night, I sat in the dark, listening to the hum of the city outside. I thought about how love ends not in fire or storms, but in stillness. A stillness that sounds like a dial tone, like a broken phone, like the word. Complicated, echoing in your head long after the call ends, and for the first time, I realized silence can betray louder than words ever could. Asterisk. I didn't realize how quiet the apartment had become until I dropped my keys on the counter and the sound echoed like a scream. Her hair tie was still on the couch, a pale pink circle of elastic, useless, ordinary, but heavy enough to crush me. Her perfume lingered in the sheets, faint but sharp, like a memory that refused to fade. I sat on the edge of the bed and whispered, You forgot this. Even though I knew she hadn't, she left it like a ghost. A reminder that she existed here once and chose not to anymore. The next morning, I walked to the cafe down the street, pretending I still had somewhere to be. Mia. The barista glanced up as I entered. She had soft brown eyes and a habit of smiling like she knew everyone's secrets, but promised not to tell. Hey, she said. You look worse than yesterday. I gave a tired chuckle. That's saying a lot. Bad night? She asked, sliding my usual across the counter. Black coffee. No sugar? Like punishment? You could say that, I muttered. I barely slept. She tilted her head. Still seeing her? I hesitated. No, but she's still ... everywhere. Her expression softened. You look like you're living with someone who's already gone. I let out a hollow laugh. Yeah, I guess I am. Mia leaned on the counter, studying me. What's her name? Emma. She nodded slowly, like she was filing the name away somewhere private. Let me guess. She liked oat milk lattes, wore oversized sweaters, and left early without saying goodbye. I blinked. That S. Strangely accurate. Been there, she said. Different name. Same story. We both fell silent. The hum of the espresso machine filled the space between us. I stared into my cup. It's funny. You think moving on means deleting pictures and throwing things away? But the real problem is the air. It still smells like her. Mia smiled faintly. Air's tricky like that. You can't throw it out. I looked up at her. How did you do it? She shrugged. I didn't. Not really. I just got tired of feeling like a ghost in my own life. I thought about that for a moment. I think I'm still haunted. Stop feeding the ghost, she said softly. How do you stop feeding it? By not talking to it anymore? I gave a bitter smile. That's hard when she's everywhere. Then start replacing her, she replied. Not with someone new, with something real. A new song. A new routine. Hell, even a new brand of coffee. Her words landed heavier than I expected. A new coffee? I echoed. She grinned. Small steps, man. I took a sip, the bitter taste grounding me in the moment. You talk like you've been doing this a while. Heartbreak recovery. She asked. Yeah, it's my side job. I laughed for the first time in weeks, a real one this time. Does it pay well? Emotionally bankrupt, she said with mock seriousness. But the experience looks great on a resume. Something about her ease made me breathe a little easier. When I got home, the apartment didn't feel any less empty. But it didn't feel unbearable either. I picked up the hair tie from the couch and turned it in my hand. You won, I whispered, setting it gently into a drawer. But I'm still here. The air smelled the same. The sheets still carried her ghost. But somewhere under all that, there was a faint trace of coffee. Bitter, warm, and new. And for the first time since she left, I didn't feel like breaking. I just felt ... quiet, not healed. Not whole, but breathing. And that was enough. It started with a single line that wouldn't leave my head. Even silence has a sound when it comes from you. I wrote it down at 2 a.m., sitting on the floor with my guitar and a half-empty cup of coffee. The apartment was dark except for the glow of my phone, mocking me with all the messages I wasn't getting. By dawn, I had a full song, silent notifications. Every lyric felt like bleeding through paper. I didn't plan it. I didn't think. I just ... spoke. When I played it for the first time in the studio, my voice cracked halfway through the chorus. The producer looked at me and said, "That hurt to hear." "Good," I replied. "It was supposed to." A week later, the song hit the radio. I didn't expect anyone to care, but they did. My phone exploded. Messages, mentions, reposts. People said it was raw, honest, too real. I didn't know whether to be proud or embarrassed that my heartbreak had better rhythm than my love life. Then, that afternoon, Ryan texted me. "Ryan, good song. No hard feelings, right?" I stared at the message for a long time. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Me, none left to give. He left me unread. The irony wasn't lost on me. That night, I went to Mia's cafe again. She had already heard the song. It was playing softly from the speakers behind her. She smiled when she saw me. "So that's what you've been working on?" "Yeah," I said, sliding onto a stool. "Didn't expect it to escape the studio." "It's everywhere," she said. "Someone even cried listening to it earlier. Hopefully not into their coffee." She chuckled. "You sound lighter." I guess I finally said everything I never got to. Mia leaned in. "Then don't take it back." "I won't," I said quietly. "It's all hers now. Every word." Her brow furrowed. "Hers, the ghost," I admitted. Emma. She nodded slowly, like she'd already known. Well, maybe ghosts deserve a song before they fade. Before I could reply, my phone buzzed again. Emma. Her name still hit me like a bruise I thought had healed. Emma. It's beautiful. My fingers trembled. For a second, I almost typed thank you, but instead I wrote, me. It wasn't meant for you. I pressed send before I could stop myself. Mia raised an eyebrow. That looked like closure. Maybe, I said. Or maybe it's just me running out of words. She smiled softly. Either way, you sound done bleeding. I exhaled, realizing she was right. The pain didn't vanish, but it changed shape. It wasn't sharp anymore, just distant, like a scar that no longer hurt when I touched it. By the end of the week, the song went viral. People called it genius. They said it captured the ache of digital. Heartbreak. Someone even made a trend out of it. The irony was cruel. The song about being ignored was impossible to ignore. Ryan posted a story with it. Playing in the background captioned, "No hard feelings." Emma reposted it too, writing, "Proud of you." Almost laughed. They thought it was a song about them. Maybe it was. But more than that, it was about me. The version of me that finally stopped waiting for their attention. That night, I sat in the same spot where it all began, guitar in hand. I whispered, "Thank you for the silence," and strummed the first chord again. The sound filled the apartment, not like a memory this time, but like something new being born from what was broken. For once, I didn't feel haunted. I felt heard. I woke up to a dozen missed calls from people I hadn't heard from in months. Dude. Check the news. One message read. I rubbed my eyes, scrolled, and there it was. Ryan's face plastered all over headlines. Music producer accused of stealing tracks from underground artists. The comments were brutal. Screenshots, leaked files, even old emails. His empire, the one he built off other people's voices, was burning in real time. A notification popped up next. Emma Harper drops from collaboration after plagiarism scandal. I stared at her photo, her smile frozen mid-interview. The same smile that once made me forget every bad day. Now, it just looked tired. Natalie called me before I could even process it. "Did you see?" she asked. "Yeah," I muttered. "It's everywhere." "Way," she sighed. "Ryan's done and Emma. She's losing sponsors left and right. I guess they found each other in the wrong way." I didn't answer, Adrian. She pressed. "I didn't want this," I said quietly. "Not like this." "Come on," she said. "After everything they did, you can't tell me part of you isn't happy." I cut in. "No, just ... empty." The silence that followed said more than either of us could. That afternoon, I went to the studio. Mr. Reeves, my mentor, was already there, flipping through a newspaper. He glanced up when I walked in. "So," he said, setting the paper down, "looks like karma finally found its rhythm." I forced a laugh. "Guess it dropped its own track." He smiled faintly. "You sound different. Lighter." "I don't know what I feel," I admitted. "I thought seeing them fall would feel ... fair, but it doesn't." He nodded. "Because peace isn't about watching them fall. It's about not caring when they do." I let the words sink in. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," he said. "But it's worth it." We sat in silence for a moment. The faint hum of the mixing board filled the room, the same room where I once played. Silent notifications for the first time. Reeves broke the quiet. "You wrote that song out of pain, didn't you?" "Yeah," I said. "It was the only way I knew how to breathe." He smiled. "Then maybe this is your exhale." Later that evening, I walked home under the city lights. Billboards flashed Emma's old ads: perfume, fashion, love, all replaced with something new. She was fading from the skyline, one poster at a time. I passed a cafe window and saw Mia inside, laughing with a friend. She noticed me and waved. I waved back but didn't go in. Some things didn't need to be forced. At home, I made tea. Her mug was still in the cupboard. The cracks along the handle had grown, tiny lines like healed wounds. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my messages. Ryan hadn't reached out. Emma hadn't either. And for the first time, I didn't care. I turned off my phone and let the silence settle. It didn't feel like loneliness anymore. It felt like space, the kind I'd been avoiding. When I finally lay down, I thought of what Reeves said again. Peace isn't about watching them fall. It's about not caring when they do. For months, I'd been chasing closure, thinking it would come from their downfall. But maybe it had been waiting for me right here. In the quiet, I closed my eyes, breathing in the stillness, for the first time in a long time. I slept, and this time I didn't dream of her. I stared at the blank page longer than I should have, pen hovering like it held the power to undo months of hurt. You said you needed someone who saw you, I whispered to the paper. I did. You just stopped looking back. I wrote every word I never spoke. Every memory that didn't hurt anymore, but still weighed my chest. Every question that had no answer except the one I feared. Why me? Why us? When I finished, I read it aloud. You left because it wasn't about love. It was about fear. And I should have seen it before it broke me. Ink was smudged from my shaking hand. I folded the letter carefully, pressed it into the crease of my guitar case. A hollow thud when it landed, like my own heartbeat inside it. Mia knocked on the door before I could decide if I should destroy it or keep it forever. You writing songs again? She asked, peeking in. I shook my head. No, just letters. She came in, set her coffee on the table. You don't need to forgive her to move on, she said softly. You just need to stop remembering in pain. I laughed. A short, bitter sound. That would be nice. Try reading that letter again, she said, nodding toward the case. Not to send it. Just to see how far you've come. I hesitated, then pulled it out. The words felt lighter than they did in my mind. Less anger. Less desperation. Just me, finally saying what I needed to say. You said I ruined everything, I read aloud. But maybe I just let go too late. Mia's eyes met mine. See, it's not poison anymore. It's release. I smiled for the first time in months. Not a fake, forced smile. A quiet one. The kind that sneaks in when your chest stops feeling like a cage. Do you ever think she read it? I asked. No, Mia said. And that's the point. I nodded, folding it back into the guitar case. My hands no longer trembled. The anger, the longing, the ache, all had lost their sharp edges, you know, she said. Sometimes the letters you don't send are the ones that save you. I laughed again, lighter this time. Yeah, I guess I didn't need her to read it. I needed me to write it. We sat in silence, the kind that felt like understanding. The room smelled faintly of coffee and old paper. My apartment was still mine, even if her scent lingered in the corner. I think, I said finally, that maybe I can stop checking my phone at midnight, expecting messages that never come. You can, Mia said, smiling, because you already have what matters. You found your voice, even if it's just to yourself right now. I nodded, feeling a strange lightness I hadn't felt in years. The past wasn't erased. It was just folded neatly into a case, a memory I could visit without getting cut. I put the letter down and strummed a few chords on my guitar. The sound was raw, honest, and mine. You ready to write again? Mia said. Maybe, I replied. But first, I needed to finish this chapter in ink, not in screams. She nodded, and for the first time, I didn't feel alone in the quiet. The letter stayed in the case, unsent, unread, but it was no longer a weight. It was a bridge from who I was to who I could finally be, and that felt enough. Asterisk. The stage was empty, except for my guitar and a single stool. No lights, no fog, no screaming fans. Just the raw weight of sound waiting for me to break it open. I tuned the strings, hands shaking not from nerves, but from the memory of months I had carried in each chord. Mia leaned against the side wall. You ready? She asked. As I'll ever be, I said, strumming the first note. The room was quiet, almost sacred. I sang silent notifications with nothing between me and the words I had buried for so long. Every verse hit like a heartbeat. Every chorus was a confession I didn't know I needed to make. When the last note faded, no one clapped for a moment. It wasn't emptiness. It was respect. A shared silence that held my story without judgment. Lily approached me as I stepped off the stage, his eyes shining like street lamps. "Your song? It helped me," she said. "I walked away from someone who didn't love me." I swallowed hard. "Then it wasn't written in vain," she smiled, a soft, understanding smile. It felt like someone finally understood the part of me I was too scared to admit. Sometimes I said quietly, "We need the song more than the person it was about." She nodded. "Exactly." I watched her leave, feeling a strange lightness. A year ago, my chest would have been heavy with longing, wishing for Emma's eyes to find mine again. Now it was quiet. Not hollow, just free. The city streets were empty as I walked home. Neon reflections danced on wet pavement. The wind tugged at my coat, and I welcomed the chill. I remembered the nights I stayed awake, staring at my phone, hoping for a message that never came. All that waiting, all that aching it, had shaped me. But it didn't have to define me anymore. Mia had said once, "You can't make peace by chasing love. You make it by letting go." Repeated it to myself, softly like a mantra. Letting go. Somewhere ahead, a couple laughed under the glow of a street lamp. I didn't feel envy or regret. I felt possibility. The world still moved, and I moved with it. Not running. Not hiding. Just walking. I reached the corner where Emma and Ryan had once laughed in pictures that haunted me. I didn't look up. Didn't need to. That chapter was closed. Instead, I played the chords in my mind. Not for her. Not for anyone. For me, do you ever think she'd hear this and feel anything? I asked aloud to the night, more curious than hurt. "Doesn't matter," I said when no answer came. I felt it. That's enough. I found a quiet bench by the river, the city lights glimmering like distant stars. I sat and let the sound of the water fill the silence. It was steady, gentle, honest. I remembered every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every note I had sung into the void. And for the first time, it didn't hurt. It had become part of Miscard, yes, but stronger. I whispered to the empty street. "I'm okay. I finally am." Somewhere behind me, the city hummed. A car passed. A siren wailed in the distance. Life moved on. And so did I. I didn't feel the need to text her. I didn't feel the need to call anyone. Peace wasn't about being noticed or loved. It was about no longer waiting. I breathed in the night, felt it in my lungs, felt it in my chest. The music wasn't over. It was mine. And now, so was I. The silence between us, the past, the longing, the unanswered messages, had dissolved. Only the sound of my own heartbeat remained, and for the first time in a long time, it sounded like freedom.